Hey everyone, and welcome. Today we're going to talk about something that's basically the invisible engine behind our entire digital lives. Most of the time, we don't even know it's there. It's called metadata. And I know, the name sounds super technical, but the idea behind it, it's simple, it's powerful, and it is absolutely everywhere. So let's kick things off with a phrase that you might remember made some serious headlines. You might have heard this a lot back around 2013. After the Edward Snowden revelations, this was the line used to calm people down. The idea was, hey, don't worry, the NSA isn't actually listening to the words you're saying on the phone, they're only collecting metadata. And for a lot of people, that sounded, okay, maybe not so bad. But then, a really important question started bubbling up, and it changed the whole conversation. What can you actually figure out from only metadata? Well, as it turns out, the stories and the patterns hidden inside that data can be shockingly revealing. And that one question forced us all to really grapple with how powerful this invisible information truly is. To really get a handle on this, let's stick with that exact example, phone calls. What kind of information are we talking about when nobody is listening to the conversation itself? You'd be surprised. It's a lot. So look, if you break it down, each piece seems kind of simple. Who called you, what time it was, how long you were on the phone, and yeah, your location from nearby cell towers. So no, they weren't recording you making plans for dinner, but they were logging all of these details about that call. But here's the thing, it's all about what happens when you start connecting those dots. A study at Stanford, the MetaPhone project, did exactly that. They looked at the phone metadata from volunteers and were able to make some incredibly specific guesses about their lives. Get this, one person called a hardware store, then a locksmith, then a hydroponics dealer, and a smoke shop, all in a pretty short time frame. You don't have to hear a single word they said to start painting a very, very vivid picture of what's going on in their life. That's the power of context. Okay, so if metadata isn't the actual content, then what is it? You've probably heard that old, confusing definition, data about data. Just forget that. There's a much better way to think about it, a metaphor that honestly makes it all click. This famous quote is the key to everything. The territory, that's the real messy, complicated thing itself. You know, the actual conversation, the novel, the photo. But the map, that's a simplified guide that helps us make sense of the territory. And metadata is the map. So this is really the best definition, a set of statements about a resource. It's not the thing, it's the guide to the thing. The perfect example is a library. A library is this huge, massive territory of information. How on earth do you find your way around? Let's say the territory is the novel Moby Dick. We're talking the full text, all 200,000 words of it. Now imagine walking into a library with millions of books, but with zero organization, just piles of books. The territory is all there, but trying to find that one specific novel would be literally impossible. And this is the map. The old library catalog card. It doesn't tell you the story of Captain Ahab, not at all, but it gives you these simple, powerful statements. The title, the author, when it was published, what it's about. And crucially, it gives you the call number, the exact coordinates you need to find that book on the shelf. The map makes the territory usable. So how do we actually build these maps? You might think this is all some new digital thing, but honestly, we've been doing this for thousands of years. The basic principles, they really haven't changed much at all. I mean, think about it. We go all the way back to the Library of Alexandria, where scholars were creating catalogs to organize scrolls. Then, centuries later, this simple card catalog completely changed the game for libraries. And then in 1995, as the web was just exploding, a standard called Dublin Core came along to do the same thing for websites. The tools always change, but the goal is always the same: create order out of chaos. And what's wild is that at its very core, every single piece of metadata breaks down into this simple three-part statement. You've got the subject, the thing you're talking about, like the Mona Lisa. You have the predicate, that's the property, like has creator. And you have the object, that's the value, so Leonardo da Vinci. That's it. Every complex system out there is just built from these simple, elegant little building blocks. So when you're making all these labels, you have two basic ways to do it. On one side, you have controlled vocabularies. This is like a library with a pre-approved official list of terms. There's one right way to say it: science fiction. But then you have the other side, uncontrolled vocabularies. Think about online tax. People can type whatever they want. Sci-fi, SF, space opera, you name it. One way is all about precision. The other is about flexibility, about capturing how real people actually talk and think. Now, I know this can all feel a little bit abstract, but I promise you, you are creating huge amounts of metadata every single day. And the best example is probably in your pocket right now. Let's talk about the camera on your phone. When you pull out your phone and take a picture, you see the content, right? You see a cat. That's the territory. But your phone sees and records a whole universe of information that goes way beyond just the picture of the cat. It creates a map for that photo, and it does it automatically, instantly. It's called Exif data. Think of it like a hidden ID tag that's embedded right into the image file. It records what phone you used, the exact date and time down to the second, the precise GPS coordinates of where you were standing, plus all the nerdy camera settings. This is the metadata that lets your phone automatically group your photos by location or create those little memories slideshows. It is a perfect example of invisible, automated map-making in action. So, from huge surveillance programs all the way down to your personal camera roll, it's pretty clear that metadata isn't just some technical detail. It's basically the fundamental organizing principle of our modern world. You know, a great way to think about it is like a public utility. You don't really see the electrical grid when you flip on a light switch, but without it, nothing would work. Metadata is exactly the same for the digital world. It's that silent, essential infrastructure that makes Google's searches work, that powers Amazon's recommendations, and that builds your Spotify playlists. And it's no exaggeration. To really understand the world we live in today, you have to understand this hidden layer of information that organizes it all. It's the language that machines use to make sense of the beautiful chaos of everything we create. And all of this brings us to what might be the most important point. If metadata is the map that guides us through this massive territory of information, then the people who design the systems, who choose the categories, who write the algorithms, the people who actually get to draw the maps, they hold an incredible amount of power to shape what we see, what we find, and maybe even what we think. It's a big question, and it's one we're thinking about. Thanks for watching.